Good morning, children. Welcome to today's science class. In today's class, we are going to learn further about light. Are you all ready, children? In the previous class, you all remember that we learned about the transparent materials, translucent materials, and also about the opaque materials. Yes, no, children? So, what we learn about the transparent materials, children? So, they allow the light to pass through them completely. Yes, and translucent, they allow the light to pass through them partially. And what about the opaque materials, children? They will not allow that. They do not allow the light to pass through them completely. This is what we learned in the previous class. Keep it in mind. And now I will tell you a situation. Imagine a situation and be ready with the answers, children. See, it is a sunny day and we all are in the school. And third or fourth period, you are having PT that day and you all are playing in the ground. Just imagine you are playing in the ground with a bat and ball or different things, football you are keeping and you are playing. So when you are playing, you will be noticing, each one of you will be noticing that something behind you, a black color thing will be on the ground. Just like you only, but it will be in the black color. All of you will be able to see that. Yes, behind you. What is that, children? Wherever you run, it will be following you. You cannot be able to remove that from you can't remove it and it will be following you wherever you are playing in the ground on a sunny day. What is it, children? Very good. That is your shadow. So today we are going to learn about the shadows. Are you all ready? So now, as soon as we say the term shadow, so many things already you know about this term. Yes, you all have seen. There is nobody who has not seen the shadows. Your shadows, different objects, you will be playing also. Shadow puppets also. You might have played with that also. Yes, no, children. So now, with your already what you know about the shadows, what do you know about the shadows? Always the shadows are black in color. That you all might be knowing. And now, do you know when the shadows are formed? What way it is going to connected with the transparent, translucent and opaque objects? Yes. So when the light rays are made to fall when on an opaque object or else another way, when an opaque object blocks the way of a light ray, the shadow is formed. Shadow of the object is formed. Yes. So when you see the shadow, the outline is like you only, no, children? Yes. So now tell me, how you were able to see your shadow. What about you? You are transparent or translucent or opaque object? Very good. We are opaque object. We are not transparent. We are not light cannot pass through us. So we are opaque. And from there, when you are playing on the ground, from there the light was falling on you. That's why I said sunny day. From the sun, the light is falling on you, and as it is not passing through you, it is not allowing the light to pass through you. As we are opaque objects, we are able to see the shadow. Yes, no, children? So now, shadows. Already you know that shadows are black in color, and also now you know that when they are formed. So what are shadows? Shadows are dark patches or dark area. A dark patch or dark area formed. When it is formed, when an opaque object blocks the path of light rays are light. That is how the shadows are formed. Shadows, what are they? Dark patches. How they are formed? When an opaque object, all objects will not form the shadows. Only the opaque objects will form the shadows. Yes, children. So now you are imagining your shadows, right? Yes. For forming a shadow, by now you know that you need a source of light. Let us see, children. See here. Here is a source of light. Like this, anything can be. Anything means any luminous body can act as a source. You know that source of light. Here I had taken a flashlight from the phone. This can be used as a source of light. Now see, yesterday in the previous class I have shown you this box, this cardboard box. This is an opaque object. Yes, that's why we don't know what is there inside. You all know that. Now see, I am making the light to fall on this opaque object. Are you all able to see the shadow, children? Where it is formed? So now see, just I will just now I will hold in this way. Can you all, or I hope you all are able to see the shadow of this box on the board? Yes, no children, on the board you are able to, even clearly now you can see on the board, you can able to see the shadow by moving this. See, this is the source of light, moving the source of light and also moving the object. You are able to see that the size of the shadow is also increasing and decreasing. See, I am moving the source of light here and there, and also I am moving the object here and there, so that also you are seeing that the size of the shadow is getting increasing and decreasing, and you all can see that the shadow is black in color. The color of the box is green, but even though you can see that the color of the shadow is black. Let us see with another red color box. See, now I am using a red box. Now we see what color is the shadow. See here, you see the size of the shadow also, how it is getting changed when I am moving the light and also when I am moving the object. See the color, whatever might be the color, red or green or what color. What is the shadow color? Shadow, children, only it is in the black color. Yes. Yes, like this you can keep a torch and collect different things, and you enjoy seeing the shadows. So by now, by doing the simple act, this is not a big experiment, like simple activity. What did we learn, children? So to form a shadow, so you know that what is a shadow now. To form the shadow, what all we have taken now? We took there was a source of light. Source of light was the torch, flashlight from the phone, and also there was an opaque object. Yes, opaque object was the green box or red box. And also, see, first when I kept both and when I was asking, you were unable to see, but you wanted another thing, third thing to observe the shadow. That was the board. So that is the board or a wall. Anything can be here. Act as a screen to form the shadow. Screen. See, in the previous situation I said you are on the ground. Yes, and you are seeing your shadow. So there, which is the source of light, children? Sun was the source of light. And who was the opaque object there? You were the opaque object. And which was the screen there? The ground. Yes. So to form the shadow, to get the shadow, three things are essential. What are they? Source of light, opaque object, and the screen. And what is shadow actually? When it is formed, that is just a dark area, dark patch formed when an opaque object is blocking the path of a light rays. When the light rays are traveling, when it is getting blocked by an opaque object, we can see the shadow of the object. And further, by I was moving the source of light, and also I was moving the box. Both things I was doing, and you are able to see the size change of the shadow. Yes, no children? So these two things I think you are clear. The third thing we learned, what we saw on the screen was the blackboard was only used as a screen to do the simple activity. The size of the shadow was becoming smaller and bigger when the distance between the source of light and the object changes. Also, when the distance between the screen and the object changes. Yes. So due to these two factors, the size of the, sometimes even yours also, you can see the longer shadow, you can see the slightly smaller shadow than you. So that is shorter shadow than you. And when you are doing with the different articles, and when you are observing, just you take one torchlight, you take a pencil, eraser, whatever you are having in front of you, and you hold, you pad, or on the wall, or near the wall also you can do. You can hold a pad with a and you can make it as a screen, and you can observe that, and you keep on changing the just now how I did the distance between the source of light was a torch and the object. When you are increasing and decreasing, you can see on the screen the size of the object is going to change. The same way, when you are going to change, when you are going to increase and decrease, making it the wider or narrow, when you are making the distance between the screen and the object, bringing it closer or moving the object far, the size of the object changes. So when it is going to be bigger, when it is going to be shorter, it is very very simple that you can only do, and this is what your activity today. You can collect 2-3 things and you can note down when it is, when the object is closer to the screen, it is bigger image, bigger shadow, or when it is far away from the screen, it is larger. The same way, when the source of light, when these two categories you observe and tell me how are the shadows, size of the shadows changes. Yes children, so this is about the size, why the size changes, and whatever the color of the object might be, the shadows will be in the black color. Then further about shadows, and one more thing you might have noticed when I am doing that, and one more thing you might have noticed that all these three, what are they? The source of light, object, and screen. Here the object is the opaque object, no children. So all these three should be in a straight line, or else you cannot be able to get the shadow on the screen. Even now, even when we are now I am not holding the source of light on the, when it is not falling on the opaque object, you will not be, all the three should be in the straight line, or else we will not be able to get the shadow. Just shall we try this children? See here, now see, this is the source of light, no children, source of light and the box, and when I am keeping it straight, you are able to see the shadow. When I put the light down, it is not in a straight line, can you able to see the shadow? And when I am bringing the box down, you will not be able to see the shadow. With the same way, when the screen is getting moved, all these three should be in a straight line to get the shadow. You can see that. See, this is what I am saying, you to find it on your own by moving. When the size is, see, now only you can see when the when you are able to see the shadow size is smaller, when it is becoming big, that you can, by playing only like a playway method, you can do that and you can note down. Yes, and from the shadows, can we confirm that what type of object? Yes children, we can, these shadows, what way they are helpful, they will be giving the outline. Yes, your shadow is like you only, but from the shadows only can we conclude that what is, clearly can we get an idea about the object? It is not. Sometimes the shadows will mislead also. Just we will see now. See here, is torch, let's see. See, now I am holding, I am keeping some, see here, like an animal I am keeping. So seeing the shadow, some may think that, see here, even like a bird, different things we can do, a flower, but this is not the really head of a deer or anything, no. So sometimes shadow can mislead, they can only just give the outline of the object. Confirmly we cannot, seeing the shadow we cannot confirm what type of object it is. Yes children, so this is a source of light. We can take a bulb also can be a source of light, no children, a bulb also can be a source of light. Now we should all, here is the screen, here is the screen, and you are going to hold a, for example, pencil. You all have a pencil right now, you have a pencil or any object you can hear. From this, the light will fall on this pencil. This is a pencil, and you will be able to get the shadow. Here, shadow of the pencil will be formed here. No children, shadow of the pencil will be formed here on the screen. This is the opaque object, and this is the source of light. That is the bulb. So now this shadow, what all we learnt about this shadows children. To get the shadow, first thing we know, shadow is a dark patch. When it is formed, when an opaque object is blocking the, see here, light rays are, this is a light rays are moving. When an opaque object blocks the way, the shadow is formed. Yes, and what is the color of the shadow? It is black color. And shadows will give, they'll give the outline of the object. From that only we cannot conclude or come to a complete conclusion that what the object as such. Yes, and what else we learned? The size of the shadow will increase or decrease, become big or smaller depending upon the distance between the source of light and the object, and also depending between the distance between the screen and the object. This, by changing this and that, moving, increasing and decreasing the distance, you can see that how the size of the shadow is going to get changing. It will become big or small. Even when you are playing, you might have seen when the sun is on your head, that is noon time, how is your shadow? And the evening time, when the slanting rays are falling on you, how is the shadow? So this all you have learned in your lower classes also. Just you can today also you can move out of your home and you can see when during the noon how is your shadow, and during the evening time the shadows, morning also the shadows are longer. Yes, because we are getting the slanting rays, but at the noon directly it is falling on the head. So the shadows will be longer or shorter. You are going to find out on your own. So these all things are about the shadows. And one more thing. So when we talk about the source of light, children, when we talk about the source of light, sometimes the source of light will be a point source, means very narrow source. Sometimes it will be a broader source. See, depending upon the source, the shadow will have two parts. Depending upon, clearly always the shadow will not have the two parts. Depending upon the source, the shadow will have a two parts. So that the two parts of the shadows are called as umbra and penumbra. That means what? For example, if see the shadow of the pencil. Here we have drawn the shadow, and you all know that it will be in the black color. So here there is a part called, middle part called the umbra region, dark part, dark shade of the shadow. That is the umbra region we'll call. And there will be near the covering the umbra, there will be the penumbra region. This is a slightly illuminated means it is receiving a small amount of illuminated portion of the shadow. Slightly illuminated portion of the shadow is called as the penumbra. See, shadows have two parts, but always not. It depends upon the source of light. When the source of light is broader source, in the shadow you can see two parts. This also you can do. You will be able to find out when you are playing with the different articles. The middle part where the light rays are unable to pass through, there will be a darker part, darker region called the umbra. This is the darker region of the shadow. Yes, and both the sides of the umbra will be covered with the penumbra region. That is a slightly illuminated, means some rays, some amount of light is received there. That is why that will have the light shade. See here, umbra will have the dark shade. Both are the parts of the shadow only. Penumbra will have the lighter shade. Why? Because it is slightly illuminated, means it is getting some amount of light. Illumination means getting some amount of light. Yes, see, so many factors about the shadows we are learning in today's class. First, by now you all know what are shadows. How are they formed? I hope I don't need to explain that. And to form a shadow, you need three things are essential. Source of light, an opaque object, and a screen. Yes, and size of the shadow will differ when the distance between the source of light and the object changes, and also the distance between the object and the screen. When you are like a game, you can change it and you can see how the size is going to get changed. Have two parts depending upon the source of light. If it is a point source, means very narrow source, you cannot able to differentiate the two portions. If it is a broader source from the light, source of light, there will be two parts, umbra and penumbra. Umbra region, how it will be? The darker region of the shadow. It will be the middle darker region is called as the umbra, and penumbra is the illuminated, means slightly they are receiving the light rays. So here you can see the lightly they are They are not that dark. So dark shade and light shade, if you remember, you'll be able to understand this. Yes. So many things today we learnt about the shadows. By now I think 6 to 7 points you can write about the characteristics of shadows. What are shadows and different things. How are they formed? What all you need for that, you can tabulate, you can write. And the activity what I gave, you collect different things, take one source of light and hold something as your wall, or anything can be kept as a wall, or your ground, anything can be kept as a screen, and you can note down how are the shadows, and also try to variate the umbra and penumbra region. Yes children. So now about this shadows, one more thing I wanted to just, we are not going to learn it in detail, just you should know about this. See children, shadows, no, sometimes these shadows, we are all are on the earth and we are able to see. Even these shadows play a very important role on the astronomical, yes, objects also. Like in the universe, there are so many different objects are there. So from the earth, we can observe two types of eclipse. You might have heard, no? Two types of eclipse. One is the, what it is? Very good. Solar eclipse. And another one is the lunar eclipse. Yes, no children? Yeah. So why madam suddenly from shadows you are going to solar eclipse and lunar eclipse? Some of you might have guessed it. Yes, here also the formation of shadows of one of the object only is going to cause this eclipse, means getting disappear. Just we are not going to go in too deeper about that. This is only for your just to understand and enjoy what is happening in the nature also. See, solar eclipse means solar means sun. Eclipse means getting disappear. So what is going to get disappear? Sun. No, sun will not get disappear, right? Few minutes we are and few seconds or minutes we will not be able to see the sun from the earth. That is called as solar eclipse. Now you all know that I said that shadow is formed here. Shadow is only forming, and that is why we are unable to see the sun. So you know that three things are essential for forming the shadow. Here, sun, moon and earth. And you all know that to form the shadows, the source of light, opaque object and the screen, all the three should be in the straight line. That's why when you want to draw the solar eclipse, you cannot draw in a zigzag way. Then only you can understand that. You do not understand the, yeah children. So during a solar eclipse, what happens? Sun, moon and earth, they will be in a straight line. Yes, you all know that earth is rotating and revolving around the sun, and also moon is also moving around the earth. Yes, no children. So sometimes that all the three will be on a straight line. Here the source of light, you all know that sun, and here the opaque object is going to be the moon. And when an opaque object is going to block the way of the path of the light rays, you know that shadow will be formed. So shadow of the moon will fall on the earth. Few parts of the earth, not on the complete earth, few parts of the earth. So in the few parts of the earth, they will be unable to get the sun's rays for a few minutes. So that particular time is called as the solar eclipse. That means sun is getting sun's rays, and we are unable to get the sun's rays on the earth. Why? Because the moon shadow is falling on the earth. The same thing during a lunar eclipse. I hope you all can guess now what is a lunar. Lunar means moon, no children. During a lunar eclipse, you know that earth is always moving. Yes. So now here during a lunar eclipse, the earth is between the moon and the sun. Earth is between the moon and the sun. Now earth is also an opaque object. Again, from the source of light, that is from the sun, the light falls on the earth. As it is opaque, the shadow of the opaque object, that is the earth, will fall on the moon. So due to this, few minutes from the earth, we are unable to see the moon. That is also called as lunar eclipse. This is just for you to should know what is happening in the nature also. Yes. So astronomical objects, these all are celestial bodies, are astronomical objects. Here also shadow formation, how it occurs, and see this here, even here the shadow is formed only when these three, what are the three? Source of light, opaque object and the screen, all the three are in the straight line. Yes, children, and also we need the three things for forming the shadow. So just recollect what all we have discussed today about the shadows. What are shadows? How are they formed? And also how the size of the shadow going to be changed by changing the distance between the object and the screen, an object and the source of light. Yes, children, and always what color shadows will be we learned, and also depending upon the source of light we can see two regions, umbra and penumbra, two parts of the shadow. Also we had a brief note about this, and about solar and lunar eclipse you can learn on your out of your own interest, but all of you should know about this formation of shadows. So today's work, as I told you, take out different things and take a torch light, and you can keep the wall or ground as the screen, or hold one pad as the screen. Above that you can pin an A4 sheet, and happily you can see the shadows, and try are you able to see the identify umbra and penumbra. That will be depending upon the source of light, children. If it is a very narrow source, you will not be able to variate that. That is also I am saying. Then later, as I told you, you will in the A4 sheet you can write about the what all we discussed about the shadows. Back side you can draw how I have drawn the three things, the screen, object and all, and any one object which you have used. You draw that shadow of that thing and keep it ready, so that we can continue our learning. And one more thing, children, before ending, in this, by learning all this, you might have noticed one thing: shadows are formed when the opaque objects are blocking the way of the light rays. One more thing you better see, notice that the light rays are traveling in straight line. Yes, children. So next class we are going to learn in detail about this, the about the characteristics of the light rays. So from here only you can infer that light rays are always traveling in the straight line. It is very interesting, right? So you all will be ready for the next class by just you can from the textbook you can read about that and be ready, children. Thank you, children.